Okay, good morning. Welcome to the Riley County Commission meeting of August 7th. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none, we'll go to Commissioner comments. Commissioner McCann.
All right. Not a busy weekend, but Thursday after our meeting, I met with Kevin McMillan to look at possible locations for University Park and Dunes. They've got a couple possibilities on their property, but they're also looking at a couple other options still. He's got at least two more landowners that he's going to be contacting, trying to find another spot. I think we're going to start having some tests done to see which areas will work for us. And then Saturday was my day. My brothers and I had a family reunion in Topeka. Some people, of course, had conflicts. Can't get that many, but we had 40, ended up with over 40 people, ages 2 to 71. And some families that hadn't seen each other weren't, much, was able to keep, catch up. Had a good day. It wasn't too hot. And towards the end of the afternoon, it got a little warm, but most of the rest of the day, there was a little bit of a breeze. It was out of Lake Shawnee. It was kind of nice. Had a good time. That talks to people I hadn't talked to in a long time.
Great.
That's all I got.
Okay, Commissioner Ford.
This Thursday afternoon, KAC had another webinar presentation. This was an update on the Kansas Department of Transportation's road usage charge study. Burns and McConnell is a transportation consultant that they are working with to study the state's road usage charge, or a state usage charge, or RUC, RUC. Let's call it to have the onomatopoeia there. If that might not be a better option to replace declining motor fuels tax and the revenue that comes with it. Study focuses on identifying how the system would reflect Midwestern values and needs to help fund transportation improvements and investments moving forward. They're currently in phase 2 of the study, reaching out to all the key stakeholders. That's why KAC had the presentation, and what all this could mean to gather input as they work into a potential phase 3 pilot type of program. And well, there are all kinds of ideas on that one. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to pay attention to. I think if you think about where we're at and mix of things, it's probably a good conversation to have at this point in time. So also on Thursday, I listened in on the Council of Foreign Affairs State and Local Officials webinar. This one was called Building a Competitive United States Workforce. Bo Machevo, who's the Director of Federal Government and Public Affairs at Micron Technologies, and Rebecca Shearman, Program Director for Technology and Innovation and Partnerships, the National Science Foundation, discussed demand for technical talent, everything going on, AI included, real big need at this particular point in time, how to share that talent in the current age of automation and foster a competitive workforce kind of built within it. Sherry Van Slown, who's the National Intelligence Fellow at the CFR, moderated, shared some resources they have through their organization, as well as the CHIPS and the Science Act and some other places. There's a little bit of a Q&A afterwards. I didn't catch all of it. So Thursday, there was a meeting of the crisis intervention team, as done bi-monthly. A couple items that were discussed was the recent CIT training that took place last month out of the Public Works conference room. It was well attended, well put together with great resources. The hope is that it'll continue to grow and other organizations and officials will be there to help expand both the educational part and the training and learning. So they'll probably plan on doing something again next year and around this time. It's also an open dialogue of trying to transition this group into more of a regional task force, including some other area partners. And discussions are just starting to continue on how we can get some sort of a crisis holding and or resource center. Don't really have a great name for it, but basically some kind of a place where we can kind of hold people and place them so they can be properly evaluated, get the proper resources they need, treatment, so on and so forth, rather than having to use the hospitals, area jails, and continue to load up the CSU as a way to try to offset that, because we're just seeing those types of needs. Friday morning, met with a group of constituents over at breakfast at Hy-Vee to discuss some county-related duties and functions, including elections, the appraisal and evaluation systems and processing, just our county budgeting in general. I brought up the LABTR, just our demand transfers losses from the state, and probably not all, but a good proportion of some of the unfunded mandates that have been laid across to us too. You would be very surprised how much people aren't aware of either one of those. And that work on the education piece is something we really do need to invest some time in. It was a good conversation, just for the record. It's kind of amazed. Hy-Vee had some pretty good choices for breakfast. That kind of caught me off guard. I wasn't hungry, but another good spot there. I guess we've done some things in the past catering. It was pretty good, but that kind of caught me off guard, and got a lot of great feedback and compliments from this group too, and the work and efforts of everybody here in Riley County, and just the work and high level of customer service and professionalism that they see when they come in or have to work with somebody. So I just wanted to pass that along for a good show. Weekend for me, I kind of unplugged a little bit, watched a little preseason football, keeping up with this madness that's NCAA conference realignment. And we went into Thursday with 13 teams, and now we've got 16. So I'm doing the math right. Yeah, I don't even know. It's kind of different watching it this time around when you know your school is safe for the most part. I don't really have to sweat all of that, but some of the back and forth between some of the schools and conference people has been rather entertaining. And the weather was just, as mentioned, was just for the most part gorgeous, particularly yesterday morning. It was a good morning to be outside.
It's kind of ironic how we invited the Pac-12 to join with us 2 years ago, and they kind of gave us
The middle finger.
for us.
Now it's just what Stanford, Cal, Washington State, and Oregon State. That's the Pac-4.
Oh, was that all it's like now?
Yeah.
For some reason,
Because Oregon and
for
Washington.
some reason, I was thinking the Pac-6, but you guys are correct.
No, but that's because Oregon and Washington are voting for the Big Ten now with USC and UCLA.
Thought of that.
Yeah, they're down to the Pac-4, and I don't know.
Is this it for now, or are they going to continue?
I have no idea.
So now what?
I mean, really, it's about money. That's really what it's about.
Yeah.
It's not really about anything else.
It's about the kids.
School's just trying to line up and trying to jump on that money train.
Just simply stayed with the old original conferences back in the Big 8, the original Big 12, you know.
Yep.
Original Big 12 was okay. I mean, the Southwest Conference just was kind of pleading and failing at that point in time. So that was probably a good call. It's happened over the last decade or so. I don't know. It's about money. I wouldn't be surprised if we add 2 basketball schools.
Yeah,
Try to really be the basketball conference, kind of like the Big East was in the 80s and 90s. That wouldn't surprise me. Schools we've picked up do okay in basketball, but we picked up a UConn and I don't know, Gonzaga or somebody. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me at this point. So, and that's really all I've got this morning.
Okay. Well, let's see. Last Thursday evening, I helped serve the Thursday night community meal at First Lutheran Church. Big numbers again, lots of kids, lots of people. Then after that, I had a committee meeting with the church, so I got home fairly late. It's pretty exhausted. But so Friday morning, I spent most of the morning dealing with a personal issue. And that afternoon, I met for several hours with some residents of Keats to update them on our progress on the review and location. I'm willing to help in any way possible. I also checked in with Brian Foster at Fiji Consultants on his progress, and he should have some preliminary drawings sometime this week. Saturday, did some household yard chores. Later, stopped by Everybody Counts for just a short time. and then did some grocery shopping, etc. Rest of the weekend, I caught up with paperwork and scheduling for this week. So it's about it for me.
Ready for business, commissioners? Have no business. I just have one item. See if all of you want to attend Good Morning Manhattan. Dr. Marshall Stewart, Kent State University Senior Vice President, Executive Affairs, University Engagement Partnerships, and Chief of Staff is the presenter for Thursday, August 17th at 7:15 a.m.
Yes.
15. 15.
Yep, August 17th.
17.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You wanna go, Kathy?
Yeah.
Planning?
Not for me, Rich. Thank you.
Okay. No other business, commissioners, any changes to the minutes?
I didn't see.
No? Okay. Well, they make a motion that we approve the minutes as written from the August 3rd meeting of Riley County Commission.
A second.
Is there a moved and seconded that we approve the minutes from the August 3rd meeting on favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Tentative agendas look okay, commissioners? Any items for next week's press conference? Okay, next year, Mr. Holman at 9 o'clock. And just let commissioners know the big dumpster out here, we're getting the election equipment in today, so it's gonna have all kinds of boxing and packaging. So that's why we had that moved as close as possible for the least travel for staff and enough room to put everything, all the debris. So that's what that is for. So that'll be showing up later today if lots of people.
You're doing something with HVAC or something. on
If
top
you
of
see
it.
half of our staff walking around in jeans today, you'll know why. Okay, Mr. Holman at 9 o'clock, commissioners.
That's what we were cleaning up after Saturday. And they had thing, you know, you supposed to take all the trash out to the dumpster. And like, the dumpster was at the far end of the park. It was like a block away. So I thought, why in the world don't they set closer? I got over close to it to put stuff in it. I think some people feed fish in it or something. It was.
This time of the year in particular.
Oh, yeah. That's my brother's day. It must be dumped on Monday. That's got a week worth of things.
Okay.
Because it was,
Thank you.
now I
Appreciate
know why
it.
it was far away from the shelter, because you couldn't hardly walk up too much.
Remember one time I was growing up, we were up in Council Bluff, Iowa, my stepdad's from, and mom had a little Mustang and we had a old crock pot roast or something. This was July and August, maybe not the best time to be doing that anyway, but it spilled in the car. And neither one of us, myself or my stepdad, cleaned it. And the car sat there for about 10 days. We didn't really drive it. We opened it up. Oh, dear God. It's a wonder I even eat pot roast anymore. Oh, ew. Oh, my mom was angry. I ruined the carpet.
I did that one time. One edition, I had a car, that's all I had. I didn't have a truck, and I put minnows in the back of my car. And I had forgotten about it was hot someday, and you know, like a week later, I couldn't figure out what, and I just wasn't ringing a bell. Yeah,
So all the minnows died.
they were more than dead.
Ew.
Yeah.
And we could car. Started smelling, it smelled kind of smelled like something. Yeah, and everything. Finally started turning around, finding what took off some panels. Mouse had gotten into the car somewhere down behind one of the panels. With the station wagon back in one of
Oh,
the panels.
my God.
Got in there. I kept
One little dead mouse can put out a lot of
Oh,
smell.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
snap, digging around, taking apart the car, find out what was going on. That time of cousins, I don't think something like cousin's son, whatever that is, but he's a forensic computer guy. He goes in looking, when the businesses have questions on stuff, he goes in and dives into the computers to find stuff. He goes, nothing's ever deleted.
That's true.
He said, it isn't as glad, on TV shows that he said,
Yeah.
it's not that glamorous, but he said, it's interesting. And he said, most time just plowing through. He said, the most fun is when he goes out to it. They go out to a business. So a lot of times stuff brought into it. It's not for the police, I don't know what it's for accounting for the things. But they go out to the business, people tell them, oh, we just got this on here. And they go.
Forensic accounting,
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
movie with Ben Affleck in there, something was plays some weird role, and he's hired by some firm or something.
Yeah.
To pick that up, and he really finds what he probably shouldn't find and becomes an action film.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
I learned under a previous IT director that nothing's ever erased. All you're doing is when you delete something, you're writing over it is really what it amounts to. And that if you get a good enough device like Department of Defense approved or something, then you can reach anything.
layers
It's been
off.
deleted. Yeah, you just erase the things that have been written over.
Oh, interesting. That's how they find all those emails.
That's why you quit sending those emails.
Never sent one. I've gotten some weird ones.
You know,
Just
Rick,
like
that's where a big
like
chief
everybody
guy that
is.
comes in real good because
Yeah.
once you burn and delete it, hey, there ain't no trace of the
Burnable.
Yep.
I also said though, he says that the US has some of the least privacy rules of any country. A lot of the other countries have a lot more strict privacy rules. Here, he said, if you use your phone to check your company email, especially if you have one that has to be logged into, they can look at anything by law. They can look at anything on your phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My phone.
It's that whole First Amendment thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's only legally what they can do.
No.
Or anyone can
On
do
a
it.
company phone.
No, on his personal phone. He said if you have to do and like we had, a special login thing, you do it, then that phone's part of their things and they can look into your phone. I don't know why.
Yeah, the US military, and I was at a presentation at KAC or somewhere, maybe it's our association, but it was a guy that talked about the internet and how it's secure. And he said, the current internet was not made to be secure. It was meant to be open access for everything. He said it's the security swirl. Back then, it's been 10 years by now. He said the military is currently working on a new internet type system, but that is secure. So we're looking at totally rebuilding the entire thing to be a more secure platform.
And it'll be real secure for a while.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then someone in one of those state-sponsored boiler rooms where all they do is hack all day long and figure out how to hack. Somebody will figure it out.
Well, that's where they get the best hackers. They
Yep.
catch them and say, you're so good, you can either go there or you can be on our team because we need your kind of intelligence.
No doubt.
You have a choice. Yeah, that's what they used to, don't anymore, but used to, early on. Big thing was elections over the internet. We didn't get to vote on the internet, and K-State did that one election. It was before the first night was over, students hacked into it. But yeah, no, I don't see it in my lifetime.
I heard an interesting, it has nothing to do with internet security, but just security generally on communications. And it was just a human interest story on something. And it said there was a group of kids who hacked into the drive-through speaker at Burger King, at a local Burger King, and they were mouthing off to people as they made orders. They'd say things like, "You're too fat, you can't have that." The person would come up and scream at the person at the window. So what are you talking about?
That's just cruel.
Yeah. I don't know that they caught them. I just think they figured it
That's
out.
cruel.
It is.
There's about the guy that he had a couple $100,000 from Home Depot. returning stuff we did buy.
Yeah, I did hear that.
He's getting those big fancy doors. He'd wheel them out and wheel them up to this Home Depot had a policy, you can, they'll give you store credit for refunds if you don't have your receipt. And he was wheeling up doors and he'd get, of course, like I said, then he's got, all this money that's, my brother was saying, what if he's building a house or something? What he's getting a couple $100,000 of credit. And if they wouldn't give him credit, he'd just wheel them out to his truck and drive over the next Home Depot. But he did it not at the same place. He had it in several states in the Northeast. So,
Oh,
it wasn't
okay.
Denton, so he
Oh,
wasn't
wow.
in there all the time. And they finally,
Wow.
and he had 4 or 5 IDs and stuff. So they'd have to show an ID.
They say organized crime of that kind of stealing from retail, and it was a Home Depot article last week as well. And they said, yeah, he said they're gonna have to start stepping up security because they're losing so much, and their associates, just the cashiers and stuff are stopping people. And there's been 2 that have been killed in incidents just trying to stop people from stealing stuff out the door. It's becoming a big deal right now. One was an old guy that worked there, and he went to stop him from stealing something that pushed him down. He hit his head, killed him. No, it was a younger guy, 20-something. But tried to stop him. It wasn't that expensive a thing. Shot the kid right in the chest. So it's a big thing to beef up security in those stores.
Those big cities were getting 3 or 4 guys come in and just clean off the shelves, grab it and run. And I don't know what store it was that there were somebody in the store, tried to stop them. And they said their company had a policy, we don't stop those people. And they fired the guy for trying to stop him. One of the guys ran out, followed them out to the car and watched them load in and took a picture of their they doing it and was yelling at him and got a picture of their license plate. He got fired because you're not supposed to.
Yeah, companies have strict rules like that. It's funny you say that because I remember when I was in college, and that's been a while by now, business college at K-State. It was one of the case studies we were talking about, and it was UPS at the time. Their policy was if you wreck a vehicle, you were terminated, you're fired. I believe it was a bank robbery or a store robbery of some type, and the UPS driver saw it, went in the alley, blocked it, and hit him and stopped him with his vehicle. Fired.
Interesting.
Speaking of somebody here in Manhattan had $63,000 worth of American Airlines.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
heard the points thing.
It takes some work to get in there and figure that one out. Figure out how to use it.
That's the tough part. Any of those points things. You start getting, in my experience, I get into them and I think, okay, I can't, there's no way I'm going to invest the time to understand what I can and cannot do with these points I'm getting.
I've got a brother-in-law that flies all over the place and he knows how to, he's given us flights sometimes because he gets more points through work than he needs. And in fact, that's about San Francisco.
That's nice.
Yeah, he needs to be a points consultant.
Yeah, it's out of work.
There's an art to it, to do it right. I mean,
They
you
said
can
it's
do it.
hard to buy them for use your points to buy something for someone else.
Is it?
My daughter does like that too. When I wanted to get some points on my last flight, I called her, I said, I can't figure this out. So
And that's
so you have
subject
to
to,
go through all sorts of hoops to try to figure out how to get credit for the points.
on the subject of retail fraud, there was something else I heard recently on some podcast. We talked, was another human interest story. Somebody got stopped trying to buy a big load of stuff from some box store. They just pulled out the cash and tried to pass either $100,000 or $1 million bill. And the supervisor was sharp enough to count the zeros and said, wait here, call the police.
I didn't know they made bills.
I don't think they do.
That's the point.
They make 100,000, don't they?
I'm not so sure they do. I don't know.
So,
I don't know. Anyway, it got their attention.
at least I know I don't have any on me.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about it.
I'd like to think it was $1 million, but I'm safe in saying it was a denomination,
We'll find
crazy
out in
denomination.
sections. I see some going
Yeah.
on.
Highest I saved was $100.
Just, right now, the biggest is 100, but I knew there used to be others. 10,000 was the largest rented for public consumption. I'm trying to remember, because there was a big one. My dad always said he wanted to get a picture of Kinley. It's a $500 bill.
$500. I wouldn't have guessed they go that big.
Yeah.
So they used to have those? Huh. That'd be cool to have one of those.
Woodrow Wilson is the one that's on it.
Be fitting.
But they said it was from 45 through 69. They made this $500. They're still available. My dad said he's asking somebody, "Can somebody give me a
I'd
McKinley?"
like to have one of those. That'd be neat.
Left out part of it too. I now remember that the part of the story was because I said a supervisor was smart enough to count the zeros because the way the supervisor got involved is the clerk started to try to make change.
Oh,
Wait a minute.
oh, no,
I can get you this far, but hold it a second.
I have a store for that.
Yeah.
Salmon
I got
Chase
it,
is the
too.
one that's on the 10,000.
Yeah, I see that. Salmon Chase is on the $10,000 bill.
There's a $10,000 bill.
Who is that?
He was a governor and senator from Ohio, and was the Secretary of Treasurer under Abraham Lincoln, and then Chief Justice of the Supreme Court.
Okay, no. That's a long time ago.
And they did have the $100,000 bill, I think, was just between banks or something.
I'd like to know the value of one of those $500 bills now.
Oh, yeah.
It's more than 500.
It says on the $100,000 bill, it's
I've
worth
got
about
about $2 bills.
it's worth about 1.8 million on the 100,000. So
It's illegal though.
yeah,
I've got a $2 bill from like in the 1960s because my dad's dad gave all the kids one of those. And I got one too because he said, keep this in your wallet and you'll never be broke. You always keep that $2 bill. You'll never be broke. And so I still have the original one.
And a silver certificate.
what year?
I don't know. My wallet's in my office. I'd have to get it, like, pull it out and show you.
You still carry it.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, a while back, I thought I lost. I couldn't find it in there. I found it in there. It was in between some other stuff. So
Well, if it's a
I haven't done anything with that.
1928, it's worth somewhere between 60 and 100. 53 is worth 10 to 25. And they say we keep defacing the value of the dollar. Listen to this. 63 is between 9 and 20. 76 to today, it's face value and it's worth about $5 to $10.
Oh,
I don't need any of that. I'm cleaning out a storage unit and I've got like 4 or 5 tubs. My wife collected Beanie Babies back in the 80s.
I got those. I got 2 huge bags of them.
Yeah, these are in perfect condition because she wrapped them up like they were china or something.
Yeah.
I started going through them. I thought, what if it's crawling around in here?
Well, there for a while, they were heading that direction.
Yeah, for a while.
Mhm.
Oh, you can still.
So they made $2 million of each one. of them.
Oh, yeah. It's just like baseball cards back in the day. They used to be valuable.
There's certain ones that because my kids, it was like 2 years ago, they pulled them all out and laid them on the floor and was Googling that prices that some of them go for an auction. When we've got several, it's like, if you can find someone to buy it for that price, it's worth that much, but we got some that are supposedly valuable.
Yeah.
But they gotta have the tag on it still
Yeah,
and everything, you
That's
know.
what
All the original
she's got.
wrapping, boxing,
She's got,
boxes have got to be in
that
pristine
stuff.
condition.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, we got like 2 trash can bags of those things.
They're old enough that the tag has actually become a little yellowed. You know, some of them, even though they're wrapped and put away. But some of them from McDonald's are still in the original package. And I think some of the others were too. We were driving all over South Central Kansas to get those things when the kids were little. It made for a good day trip.
Oh,
Yeah.
my mom was getting them for my kids all the time, you know.
And they made them, that's what they did. They made those and you can only get them there. And then they started reproducing them after the fact.
Apparently there's a Beanie Baby movie out there. Just
Beanie
recent-
Baby movie.
Yeah, it's about that. It's like a
Documentary.
documentary,
Oh.
but it's not, but it's got like Zach Galifianakis, heavyset guy.
Yeah.
Probably pretty good. He's in it, but apparently it tells the actual story of the company. I guess the creator eventually got convicted of tax evasion, even though they racked up like a
Tie
close to $1
something was his
billion
name.
in sales or something.
Company.
That's right. But it was his company.
That's probably where they got
Was
the
it?
tie
Yeah.
from.
Oh,
Interesting. I didn't know there was a Beanie.
Now, they're gonna make an actual Beanie Baby movie. I mean, If Barbie can earn over $1 billion the first couple of weeks, why not?
Yeah, for our anniversary last week, I want to go to the movie. We went through, couldn't find.
You didn't want to go see Barbie, Commissioner McKenna?
My wife didn't need it. My wife first thing said, we're not gonna see Barbie. I said, good.
Yeah, and enough Barbies.
Yeah, with 3 girls, we
The
had
3 girls you probably had.
we had 8 Barbies. My mom, when I was a kid, when Barbies in the 60s were, first popular. Because she sewed everything and she'd seen somewhere. She started making Barbie clothes for Barbie dolls. And, just out of scraps, the other stuff she did. And that's how she funded Christmas several years. For us, it was just making those, and girls would come over, she had 3 boys. She didn't have any girls, but then maybe that's why she had to do that. We have some girls come over so she could see. But they'd come over and the moms would go over and she had little baggy things and they'd sell it.
Cool.
She got into making wedding dresses and they paid.
Oh, top
Big
dollar
bucks
for
for
that,
that.
yeah.
But no, she made, that was Christmas fund for several years. That she started doing that. Just, I think it was just scraps. Other
Yeah.
stuff that she made.
Entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ready for Mr. Holman, Commissioners?
yes,
Morning,
Oh, we
Commissioners.
have to do serious stuff.
yeah.
I guess Clancy Holman, Riley County Councilor, on to something more mundane. Current project list has been updated with one type on its recent entries. I'm trying to get to the first one. A series of things. Of course, makes mention of some things you're already aware of. You expect, got the liquid art winery matter that's scheduled for trial at the end of August. That's a contest board's approval of preliminary and final development plans. Also got the references to KAC's LAVTR Zoom, which was useful. Particularly, I think, as I mentioned before, with regard to those videos and information material, I mentioned educational programs and the importance of that. Those things should be very useful. Basically, a prepaid. I haven't gone back and looked at them yet. I haven't had a chance to, but I will, and I'm confident they'll be good quality and a great way to show on some of those things that go far beyond the ability of most people to explain it. I think it's tough to wrap your mind around this. I think you're talking about those large numbers, but if you can show somebody that, I think that's really useful. Also, it has references to the fence view done and some other pending matters. And as usual, not a lot of time was spent in contact from various departments answering questions throughout the workday. So that's just part of the function of the office. Got also the Court of Appeals matter that's pending in the First Christian Church matter. In fact, it's still ongoing. We did have a deadline for proposals for the indigent legal services. Last I checked, we didn't receive one. I don't think we have since. I forgot to check with Cindy this morning. We had not, and I didn't. The way things were looking, I would have been surprised if we hadn't, just because we hadn't even had any contact, with the exception of one.
Any questions for it?
Yeah, just kind of mystifying. But that is the state of things. I'll verify that and then make sure.
We have not received any, just verify.
I will let this
Fresh off the presses.
fresh off.
Or not off the press.
This
Yeah, this is accurate.
this latest survey.
Deadline Friday, right?
Yeah.
Fresh off the empty desk.
Yeah. And then I'll be talking with my contract lobbyist actually later today. It was confirmed. And discussing generally the county's legislative platform and Casey's legislative platform. And for the items I've already described. And as we move down here, again, more contact with department heads on various legal matters. Including some core requests. Responses will be done this week. Glad to answer any questions you have about any pending matter. It doesn't matter if it's on this project list.
Whenever the commission's done. Just gotta let the commissioners know, he brushed over the core of things, Clancy, and it's probably, the department heads can look at me on why their projects may get delayed, but on coral ones, we have limited time. Commissioner, you would not believe the amount and detailed core requests regarding elections that we get that are very staff time consuming. I mean, it's taken Susan, myself, Clancy, Craig, and now Shelley. It's endless. I've instructed the staff to start keeping a list of it just to show the commissioners and us the magnitude of how much staff time it takes. It is atrocious. And a lot of the things they're asking for, we can't give them. KAC, not KAC, but clerks associations, attorneys are working on it. Secretary of State's associations, Secretary of State's office is working on it. Their attorneys, ESS as a company's attorneys are getting involved. It's not going to get any better, especially this next year, but it takes a tremendous amount of time. I appreciate all of Clancy's office's hard work because they put in a ton of work. It's a lot of work, commissioners. It's not minimal. He has to do a lot of research on it. It takes a lot of time, and he knows it needs to be done timely, and he gets on it right away, which I appreciate greatly.
So, because I know you sent us one of them, that if they request something that isn't even, they're requesting a lot of stuff that you can't do. Because we have to, that's what you get involved from, tell them, no, the law is this, and this, that you.
Well, staff does a good job actually in the clerk's office. They're aware of some of those things initially, you can tell. But some of the nature of these requests is they're pretty broad and a little bit vague. I'm not even saying it's intentional. I think sometimes, not every time, sometimes what's being requested, the person making the request may not really be sure what they're asking. And there's the opposite. Sometimes I think they're probably asking things they probably know a little bit outside the scope of what they can legitimately get. Yeah, because Cora has a number of exceptions for things. Kansas Open Records Act. It's not simple. It's not easy enough to say, "Give me everything you got." You've got to say what it is, because otherwise you don't know if it fits or not within an exemption. And so very often the response is not to play games. The response is to say, "I don't understand what you're asking for. So can you tighten it up? Can you tell me what it is what you actually want?" That's legitimate under Cora when it's appropriate. We do that. And if the vendor says something is it's a matter of trade secret or proprietary information that they're objecting to legitimately, then that's something that cannot be provided. There's a number of exceptions to any Cora request. It's not just those relating to elections. And so that's where the research comes in. And then I would thank Rich and his staff for being willing to spend the time to have discussions about it. Sometimes we need very often, particularly regarding elections, but also in other matters that a different department might get. We need that department's expertise and their staff to say, what is this? And is there something here that's unusual or something you just don't have? Would you have to create something in order to do this? Because one thing you don't have to do under the Kansas Open Records Act, and it's critical if you're getting multiple requests, is you don't have to create a document. If you got a document, it's not subject to an exemption, then you have to provide it. But you also, in the right circumstances, you're entitled to get the amount of time to put it together to let the requester know. And then you're entitled to, as you would expect, it's one of the sensible things the legislature has done over time. You're entitled to first get reimbursed for staff time, for if you can make an estimate as to how much time is going to be involved in getting this out. You can't play games with it. It has to, you can't simply say, okay, I'm going to find the person in the office with the highest rate of compensation, go make these photocopies. That didn't work. You can't do that. And of course, as this organization would never try that, but that's the reason it has, there's some restrictions on it. Quite frankly, most offices in the county, in my experience, over 18 years, even when they could charge for something that was something, okay, I understand what this is. I can relatively easily get it, even though it's a little bit of a struggle to do it. And this is independent from what you're seeing from mass requests for detailed information. This is different. What I'm about to describe it. Very often, the department itself will make the decision, which they are entitled to. The provider can say, I could charge for this, but I'm not going to try and get $12 back of what it would have cost to actually do this. Falls within the ambit of what I do every day. Anyway, just so you have the background, but I do appreciate Rich and his staff ability and all department heads who cooperate in those things. I've never run into anybody in all that time that said I'm not going to do it. And we're not going to, I've never had to face that, which is good. That is a good note. So again, I have nothing else, but if you've got any other questions, I'd be glad to answer. We try to. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And those core requests I'm referring to, Commissioner, going statewide, it's a huge clerks listserv thing. I mean, as soon as one gets them paid, you get this, and everyone's getting them. They're from outside organizations.
It's nationwide.
It's just crazy.
On this, as the Secretary of State has pointed out, their legal counsel did during the presentation to our professional association. Clay Barker did a great job of describing some of the basis for the requests. Not all of them. I'm not saying that at all. Not everyone that comes in is in what I'm about to describe. But some small percentage, particularly since you say these are nationwide, as you say, very often they're based on a premise that, for example, the election was stolen, or that, there's fraud everywhere. Well, no, wait a minute. If you start from that without any proof, then you're going to be spinning your wheels. But nonetheless, we don't evaluate it based on that. It's just something worth knowing in terms of your evaluation of how much time is being spent on these. The fact we may fake a given request is in that category doesn't relieve us from the responsibility to analyze it, come up with a response, and comply with it. Just so you know. Thank you.
Next, Commissioner, if you have Brittany Phillips at 9:20.
So, yep, scroll down through this thing and looking at the old bills, the half size. It said, what's the most common denomination? Most number of bills for what size? $100 bills.
Yeah, go ahead.
It says as of 2020, there were 16.4 billion $100 bills, 13 $1 bills, 13 billion $1 bills.
I think what I find interesting about that is, most of the businesses that are in the illegal trade, that's what they would use. You would normally think the $1 bill, I think, or 10, but
Yeah, that's what I would
just think of all of the illegal activity, and when they confiscate large amounts of cash, it's all in what denomination?
I've had $100 bills occasionally, but I would have thought 20s, especially if that's what the ATM spit out now. It's
True,
$20
true.
bill. True. Every place you go, that's what, anybody pays in cash, you get a $20 bill because that's the only way you get.
True. That's a good point.
Cash in the bank.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They spit out that would have been my guess, but. Well, I think. Oh, it's not right. I thought it was just the first. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you were talking last week about preseason football, and I heard there was the next day. I heard there was a game on Thursday. I was like, "John, that's right." We weren't sure what week it started. Whoever the two teams were, they
Jets and the Browns.
play.
Yeah, that's the preseason games. I don't know. And they say people can bet on those and yeah.
That's how
Nobody's taking them serious. I mean,
That's how bad people are itching to bet, to get in on. Yeah, how the heck would you? That's really a crapshoot. They don't play any starters.
It's fun though to kind of watch a few, like at least the first week of preseason, maybe the second set of games. Because you get to see all the names of people that are trying to fight to make a roster. And, every team usually has one or two guys that come out of nowhere. Yes, the underdog scenario. Hearing a lot of the K-State players are really showing out for the teams they're playing for.
Our big DN's struggling in Kansas City.
Yeah, I heard he's banged up.
Yeah, he broke, I guess, last play of the game last year, he broke something and very slow in recovery.
Yeah.
So.
yeah, that's the last play of the championship. Something messed up.
So I hope he gets healthy and makes an impact. I'd love to see him do well.
He's going to probably have to with Chris Jones' status being kind of up in the air.
Well, and they got another good defensive end recruit too.
Saw that, too.
They got two in that draft.
I'm hearing some rumors about them trading for Jonathan Taylor.
Who's he?
Running back in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I miss the good running back game that there used to be in the NFL,
Yeah, I said running backs are dying.
It's like a dinosaur.
They used to be heavy demand, large salary demand. Now,
I miss the old Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smiths, Okoye, Kansas City,
Yeah.
Christian Okoye, yeah, the Nigerian nightmare.
I just always wonder what would have happened if Bo Jackson hadn't pulled his hip apart.
Yeah. But that's what they say about that position too. They say that things first responder. They said, at that young age, how you can hardly get out of bed after he retires.
And he was pretty good fitness.
yeah. And they talk about, give an example of something.
Never make the finance officer.
Season, but went to read contract.
Never.
And team traded him, and they got to another team and they paid some big money.
Yeah.
The first team knew he was going out.
If you're a running back, you need to make your hay like the first 3 years and just plan on retiring after that. If you're gonna be able to walk on your 70s.
We went to the Garden State.
If you're that good, you're making enough money to put it away to be. Let's get how to control really that money.
What am I doing?
Only two probably rookie backs that are going to be worth watching. And part of that's just not talent, it's the team they play for and the style of offense, but
Come on, Jana.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brittany Phillips, Budget and Finance Officer. I'm here this morning to present the 2023 temporary note for University Park Sewer District and Leaside Heights Sewer District. So these funds are to pay for a portion of the preliminary cost of engineering, design, and construction for a non-discharging lagoon system. On July 28th, Bond Council sent the term sheet to our office, and they were all due back to our office by August 3rd at 9 a.m. I contacted 14 banks. We got 3 bids back. And at this time, I did include the bid sheets in here as well. So we received 3 bids, one from Riley State Bank at 4%. Let me get the bid sheet up here for you. Kansas State Bank at 6% and Commerce Bank at 4.42%. And it is our recommendation. We would ask that commissioners send it back to staff for final evaluation and recommendation. And then we will be back on Thursday with resolutions to pass this. Do you have any questions?
I don't know. Can we trust everybody to make the right decision here? I don't know. Everybody. Yeah. It's just one bald head to the other.
Well, surely at least they know you weren't looking at you.
Do we have a motion?
Yeah, we did. Better make that before we dig this thing too deep,
Yeah.
all right? Okay. I'd make a motion to recommendation of staff and commissioners make a motion, and I'll refer those bids back to staff for further recommendation and approval.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to refer the bids back to staff for further approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And just for the record, it's not like I'm one to talk. Just saying.
More hair as you went up closer to the front, so.
Next, Commissioners, we have press conference at 9:30. Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, you guys.
Good.
How are you?
Good, good.
Good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Alls I know, sir, is your name is not Greg Steer.
It is not. My first name is Luke, Luke. Last name is BREAULC, pronounced BRO, bro.
Yep, had a lady that had the same last name in my office at one time. And
Really?
Name, so I was familiar with it. I saw that on your
What was
chest there.
Where was she from? What was her first name?
She lives out west of Dean's her name, out west of Wamego.
Yeah, we had that conversation.
That's right.
Yeah.
You jogged my memory.
I thought you were related or.
There's not very many of us from.
Exactly.
Yeah, her husband was in flooring, did tile flooring and stuff like that. Kind of the construction trade, so. How's John doing?
Pretty good. What's with the dumpster? Oh, we're delivering.
Doing both. Yeah, the delivery is going to create a bunch of track packaging.
That's a lot.
Huh?
That's a lot of work.
That is. That is.
Which I missed the point that it was, there was going to be a bunch of trash created because I saw Howie's out there waiting as I backed my vehicle out of the spot. Do they do delivery of stuff? Now it makes sense.
Yeah, the delivery is gonna cause, has caused the need for highways, for sure. The dumpsters we have would not have sufficed at all.
Every day, like every hour.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know why, I just didn't even think that. Things. You're talking about delivery and stuff. And I see the dump.
moving out.
Remodel projects, I didn't know about.
Well, when I pulled in this morning, I saw that there and they were out there mowing and weed eating and I thought, oh boy, that was my first thought. Like, something's getting torn up here and I don't remember what it was.
And build a small extension out there to the east. Give some more rain. Even if-
Hopefully you came up with a revenue source to do that. And if you did, I guess I can live with
Have a
that.
walkway.
That was in the budget.
A walkway was discussed.
Oh, yeah,
And a tunnel.
that was a big item. Commissioners talked about a walkway connecting on the third floor over to stay out of the weather. And the idea was IT would be kind of in that walkway area. Because you have the new flooring, you could put the wires underneath and everything. And oh, yeah, there's been many plans discussed about possibilities.
Wasn't a tunnel discussed too? I mean, it wasn't at least. Around.
They kind of talked about tunnel,
Threw it
because
around.
knows about the tunnel from underneath the alley and stuff that had been discussed. You know, the commissioners would always talk about, some type of connection to stay out of the weather between the two buildings and stuff. So no, when they talked about serious renovations, additional space needs a full third floor across there. You'd have to get permission from the Wareham who owns that property, and it had to be high enough to where trucks get up and get under. And that was a discussion at one point.
Where owns that piece in between the buildings?
Yeah, our building's right on the property line this back
Really?
here. Yeah. Just like the sidewalk we walk on down and
Oh, I mean, I knew they owned that part, but
Mhm.
that little piece in between the two. Hmm.
9:30. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Just a few items to report. Obviously, our budget was passed at the end of June, so that was one obstacle or one accomplishment, either way you want to look at it for us. Moving forward with a significant COLA increases like the other governmental entities. We did also, we just recently purchased and have trained and is now out on the streets, and we have a new dog. And so we retired one of our other canines due to age. And so new canine Moses is on board. Canine Moses has an ability to also do patrol work, which we've never had a dog that does it. And when I say patrol work, what I mean by that is that they can actually, outside of the sniffing of, bomb stuff or drug stuff, this dog can also go in and search a building on its own and let us know where a person is, and also has the ability, just like the other or other dogs in the past, to track. And that's a thing that we use quite a bit, is for them to track somebody down that's run off. They'll do ground sniffing and be able to follow the scent of somebody that's run off from us or that we need to find or is lost, those types of things. So has all those abilities. The other significant thing that we've had go on is our active violence training that we collaborate with the county EMS and Manhattan Fire. We held that in Amanda Arnold this year. It's a big event. We spread it over a couple of days where our officers actually go in and are trained annually on how to respond to these active violence incidents. So it was a pretty dynamic event, but we were able to go through without any hiccups. So that's about it. If you guys have any questions.
Anybody mention anything to you about last month's CIT training?
Yes. We also had, in fact, we had, in addition to the CIT training, we had one of our employees was actually recognized as the National Corrections Officer of the Year in regard to CIT. And that was Sergeant Erica Hahn for her accomplishments and training and execution CIT stuff. So that was a big deal for her and for the agency to have somebody recognized in that fashion.
What breed of dog is that that can do all those multiple?
So the one that retired was a Malinois, and this is a German Shepherd. So and he's not very big. So I saw him the other day, and he's a small German Shepherd, and he's really, really thin. So yeah, so he's interesting, beautiful dog, but he's much smaller than most German Shepherds, I'd say. So
Your guys' event over at Freddy's, I forgot what it was called.
you're gonna stop me.
Better you than me.
I know he did. I know he did something because I scheduled it. This is going to show you that this is going to be. I know that I put something on schedule for Corporal Pate to attend, and so I know that she was there. I can't remember exactly what the event though was.
Maybe you use dollar amount of what was raised, or
No, I don't. I apologize.
yeah, I can't think of it either.
It was in the evening.
It was.
I do remember putting that on the schedule.
Any
Well,
other
thank you guys. Good seeing you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for your work.
Thank
Okay, take care.
So Gina, are you ready?
Good morning. It's a few updates for you. We're right in the middle of our City of Manhattan Beyond Tomorrow long range planning. And the Community Development Department is going through a whole series of small focus groups. We've had probably in the last 2 weeks, the community development has probably met with 15 or 16 different focus groups. They are setting up a booth at our third Thursday events. And then we are actually going to host a charrette. And a charrette is a
display, a 3D display. It's a diagram and design that it's going to be on a 60-foot long wall. There'll be some 3D aspects to it. And the public will be invited to come out and draw on it where they think that development should happen in the next 20 years, downtowns, green space, where they would like to see public art. All kinds of prompts will be included in this, and we're excited about that because we think it's good to get the community really involved. I like that they're having a presence down during Third Thursday because they have the opportunity to just grab so many people from the public and ask them, hey, what do you like about downtown? What do you think should be different? What would you like to see over the next 20 years? What do you think this parking lot could look like? Or just encouraging the public to use their imagination. And that's great because we want to be able to say that we asked as many people as we possibly could, involve them in the process. August 3rd Thursday is going to have some new and exciting things. Every week, try to bring something new into Third Thursday, even in the event series itself each year, but also each month. Last month, we introduced a public piano that had been painted. It's beautiful. We roll it out onto the sidewalk, and so many people have just stopped to play it. It's just the coolest thing. I love it. This month we are starting, and I think it'll be successful and it'll be around for a long time. We are doing a on the sidewalk an open mic and talent expo. So if you are downtown's Got Talent and you have a dance, comedy, vocal, instrumental skill that you have that you want to test out for the general public.
She was looking at me, I know.
We encourage you to come out. That'll be a lot of fun. If it's going to be really hot, which I'm hoping it's not, we'll just move directly into Fins. Families invited, children are invited. It'll be a really pleasant, lights on atmosphere inside Fins. If it's too hot, otherwise it'll be on the Fins outdoor patio and sidewalk area. So we're excited about that. Local group called the Box Turtles will be emceeing it, and they're really fun and they know how to engage the crowd. So we're hoping that all ages can have fun with that and all skills. What are you bringing to the table?
Box turtles being open and fun to them. Box turtles aren't fun and open to the public. Kind of mean and cruel.
Turtles are fun. Those kids are fun.
They get a little older and then kind of like the rest of us, you just kind of get cruel and mean.
Wait, you don't mean the real people, right?
No,
I'm talking about
just the name.
Yes.
Yeah.
Group, right?
Yeah, it's a group.
Okay.
They're very popular here in town.
Yeah. We are.
So yes, we're excited about that. Just a reminder, we have August, September, and October. We're going a month further into the season. October is our season finale where we'll close down the streets and hopefully have an open container event. And also we'll have a Nordic Thunder back for air guitar. So that'll be fun. And looking at you again.
And open container. That might be one way to do it.
That's what we did last year. Closed down the street and had a open container. Yeah.
I must not have been paying
In
attention.
September.
It was in September.
So the other thing that's going on that's just been so exciting for me and for our community after spending the last 18 months to 2 years traveling around the state of Kansas and looking at other sister communities, we've looked at emerging trends that are going on in downtown districts. We've been following the National Main Street organization, and really what's rising to the top, our community is taking hold of art, public art, interactive art, things that you can do with the community. I mean, I think the murals all around the state of Kansas speak for themselves. We've been really fortunate. We have a property owner that has given us 2 non-traditional gallery spaces, and we have done artist calls, and we are booked through the middle of 2024 with some fantastic local art that we're hanging in these gallery spaces. One's at 409, one's at 413 points. we have, and this is quality stuff. We don't charge a commission. We have a artist reception for these people. Come in and it's open Monday through Saturday to 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day. You can just stroll through these non-traditional gallery spaces. We're really excited about it. It's really generating a lot of interest. We're helping our local artists make some money, which is also neat. And being able to showcase what we have in this region is really exciting. We're quite possibly going to be a partner with a huge regional Flint Hills event where we will be able to display up to 60 pieces of really high-end art. So we're really excited about this. And I think that we're leading the state of Kansas in this area. We've been really trying to push the envelope. We've hired a part-time art coordinator, and she's got her degree in art. She knows what she's doing. So I'm excited for us in the future and how the direction we're moving in as far as that goes for our community. That's my update. So any questions?
Okay, thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioner Rich Barber, Riley County Clerk. Once again, it is the time of the year for the second year in a row now that we will be required to mail out this revenue neutral rate statement per state law. The revenue neutral rate statement, I have to emphasize to individuals when they get those, it will be mailed out August 9th. They are not a tax statement. It says that clearly at the top. This is not a tax bill. Do not remit payment. Last year, what we found, the most questions this generated was people surprised by their appraised valuation of their house. As commissioners know, appraisal valuations were mailed out earlier this spring, but that's what it generated the most calls on. These numbers are simply the best estimate at this time of what your estimated tax bill will be based on budgets that have been submitted by all the public entities at this time. Everyone has to remember by state law, any public entity, once the budget's been adopted, during the budget hearing, they can reduce the budget, but they cannot increase it. So there is a potential that it could go down. What also impacts the difference you can see from this estimate to your actual bill you will be receiving and sometime in November is that this is the assessed valuation as of July 1. We will recertify the final evaluation in October, so that will have an impact on this a little bit as well. So it has some good information on there for you to look at, comparatively to prior year and this year. So it does give you all the public entities, hearing dates, locations, and time at the very bottom. So do encourage people, as we always have, it'll be the same time as everyone holds their budget hearings. The R&R hearings held at the same time, just a few minutes after. It'll be on the same date and location as budget hearings. You can attend those. We do encourage the public to attend those here at Riley County. Anyone has any questions when they receive these bills, please feel free to contact the Riley County Clerk's office via email or 785-537-6300. There's some explanatory information on the back of this that we found last year to be very helpful in our community. This is something that is not statutorily required, but we knew going into this last year, people would be confused about it. So this is something we developed on our own at Riley County, and a lot of people have adopted it just to help explain to people exactly what this form is. A lot of people, of course, being public entities, during budget season, we hear, why are taxes going up? Why are taxes going up? This is the prime example of why taxes are going up. The states funded it last year and they will fund it this year, but it's your tax dollars paying for it. After this year, the local entities will be required to pay the cost when we mail it out next year. And so your taxes will increase. Well, we shifted actually from the state to the local units of government next year. But this was definitely a tax increase for all taxpayers across the state of Kansas, approved by the state legislature and the governor. Any questions, commissioners?
So the fire district doesn't have to be added to that list of public hearings just because it's within the county, or?
It's in there. It's on the bottom, Riley County Fire District,
Because we're at five.
Second to the bottom.
second to the bottom. And remember, you may have one that doesn't have.
Oh,
fire.
okay.
Remember, City of Manhattan, residents would not have a rural fire. district.
We don't all have the same.
So, yeah, you don't all have the same one.
Oh,
So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, only individuals for the Riley
okay.
County Rural
Yeah.
Fire District, that'd just be the rural residents of Riley County.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that confusion. But yeah, everything listed should be only representative of the taxing entities that you pay taxes to.
For each property.
Mhm.
I must have a city property then. Oh, yeah. Cataracts Drive. That's just right up the hill from where I grew up at.
They have, some will have different school districts than the next neighboring property and whatnot. Yeah, should have the respective information for the taxes that you pay to those public entities. Any other questions, commissioners? Okay, thank you. Next, you have Amanda West. It is time for her.
Morning, Commissioners, Amanda West, Planning Director, here with our Planning Department monthly update, a few days later this month. So I'll just jump right in. Keep Sewer Benefit District, I know you folks are being kept apprised by Chair BOCC on this, but just a couple things to add. I don't know if you folks noticed, but there was an article in the Mercury last Monday that had some inaccuracies in it. So we wanted to kind of get out in front of it, if you will, and I had done the regular monthly update to the benefit district, I think a couple days earlier, and then we sent out a subsequent email just specifically addressing the article and the couple little things that needed to be clarified in the article. So received a couple responses from the group, appreciating that we did that. So always like to make sure people have accurate information. So, but it happens. We are working with, of course, USDA Rural Development on the loan program application, and what we're starting to bump up against. We've known this for a little bit. October 1, they're going to start using updated census data. What that means is we don't have some semblance of an application into USDA, and Brian, myself, and Austin are kind of talking to figure out what does that mean? What all do we need to submit to them in order to kind of get in, before that changes, or grandfather, if you will, is if we can have whatever they need in by September 30th, we can use our current income surveys that we did a couple of years back. If we cannot, and it's a little bit on the fence right now, we really don't know if we're going to be able to have first, of course, we don't know what exactly they need in order to kind of get us in there. And then based on that, are we going to be able to come up with the information in time to get it in by September 30th? So a little bit of a question mark right now. I'll definitely keep you updated as we have those discussions with USDA. Because again, if we can't get it in by the 30th, we'll have to do new income surveys October 1 and after, we have to do new ones. And of course, we don't know, there's been a lot of changes in the community since we did our last income survey. So it's hard to say what those results might show us. So just kind of a heads up on that. Again, I'll definitely keep you updated as I learn more. I'm really, really hoping that we can get in under the wire. But it's such a big question mark right now. So just keep y'all updated on that. I'm going to save the comprehensive plan chat till the end. Let's see. Our new environmental health technician starts in 2 weeks, but who's counting? So we are getting everything ready for his arrival. kind of doing what we can to kind of, get things prepared and put together for him. Unfortunately, I'm probably not gonna be able to just hand him a stack at 8 a.m. on Monday morning and say, go forward, but I think he's gonna work out really well. We're excited for him to be here, and I think he's gonna fit in our team really well and do great with us. So we're really excited about that. Solid Waste Management Committee, we had a booth at the Raleigh County Fair this year. It went fairly well. We only got blown away or almost blown away once. The other times we were able to pull everything down before we almost got blown away. But we had a lot of good information for folks. We had light traffic, not a ton of traffic, unfortunately, but the group felt it was still valuable for us to be out there. Even if, we only wound up talking to a couple people, just that we had that presence out there. We had the information out there for folks to pick up. And even the committee members being able to spend a little bit of time together. We have a couple new committee members or new work committee members that maybe haven't really, gotten into the group yet. So it's nice, that some folks were able to spend some time together and do that together. So we'll kind of see what we want to do for next year. But again, we'll probably be there, and I'm glad it worked out that we were at least able to have it there. So. See. So I was nominated, and I appreciate it, by you folks for the Flint Hills Regional Leadership Program in June, and I submitted my application by the July 20th deadline. As of writing this, I was still awaiting results, but on Friday they sent out the official emails, and I got in. So really excited about that. So I'm working on doing my RSVP and accepting their offer, if you will. And so the first days on that, I guess the kickoff days, if you will, where they have the overnight, it's the September 7th and 8th. So then they have a few days each month throughout February in different places around the region. So I think that'll go really well. So again, I really appreciate you nominating me, and I'm excited for that program. So any questions before we jump back into a comp plan update discussion? Okay, so this is just, of course, my small comprehensive plan update, if you will. My full one, of course, will be at the end of the month. So the public survey is live. As of writing this report, we received 257 responses. Not all of them were complete, so people can, of course, come back and finish. But at least we've had that many folks access it at this point. It's only been open for a couple of weeks, so that's good so far. It'll be open through September 15th. And so we're just working on as much as possible, getting the word out there, letting people know it's available. Just exactly like Gina said a few minutes ago, we just really want to get as much involvement and input and whatnot from folks. So we're really working to get this out there. Let's see. So we have held the 3 kickoff meetings for the comprehensive plan committee. And right now everybody is sharing their subcommittee preferences with me. I've probably gotten about 2/3 of it. So I'm just going to reach out to folks and just check in this week, because the next step is, once I get everybody's preference, I'll get them into their groups and then send out messages and let them know kind of the next steps, which will be, of course, their meetings, and for them to start talking about their respective pieces. And I know we had a little bit of a discussion, I guess you will, on the logo. So I wanted to, I already had this, of course, in my update before we had that conversation. So this is the postcard that went out last week. It did go out. We had Sir Speedy help us with it, so we could get it out. Again, it went to about 350 addresses all around the county. And so just to clarify, and I know we did a little bit in the emails, but this logo is just for the comprehensive plan. So it's not for the county as a whole or anything else. We really kind of wanted to give a little, obviously it's still the blue, but we still wanted to kind of give it a little bit of a difference. So it's kind of stood out as, oh, this is about the comprehensive plan update. So definitely apologize if I had needed to get permission on that first. So definitely learning on that. But I just wanted to talk about it really quick. If I need to formally bring it back, again, happy to do that. Just want to check what I need to do for you folks based on that. It's just kind of project specific at this point.
I'm fine with it. The thing I've expressed is I just like to see an actual name other than just Riley County Comprehensive Plans,
Agreed.
kind of vanilla.
Hopefully within the next couple
Sure.
months, we'll get there as we get more public input and kind of have those buzzwords, if you will. So I'm thinking definitely by the end of the year, we should have an actual name to it. So if not, a little sooner.
So you're not gonna use this logo for anything else?
No, this is just comprehensive plan update. I'm happy to do something formal if I need to. Just
You might think about that once you have the full
full name.
name and yeah, everything. Just to
Absolutely.
make it official then.
But as of now, with this, you folks are comfortable, you're okay.
Here's the deal with the logo, commissioners.
Yeah.
This entire thing, it says Riley County, but the county at one point in time spent a lot of money with an outside consultant and a group and a committee to adopt a formal logo to. The commissioners wanted just kind of like the city of Manhattan's little apple logo. Wherever that logo is seen, there's something's tied to it. It's tied with the organization of Riley County. There are many things that say Riley County that aren't necessarily tied to this. Used to be Riley County Senior Center, da 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 da. And I know with this commission, we even addressed early on with the health department wasn't using the Riley County logo. It's a separate health department logo. That then told you that it's tied to that entire organization. And if all of us with whatever special project or with elections, I could go and develop a different logo, you don't really know that it's tied to the organization. So it's fine. But once you do this, you'll have multiple logos out there. And so Riley County actually has a policy on logos and what is used on vehicles and documents. And, it says Riley County, but nowhere do you see the traditional Riley County logo. It's just something that over time, this will continue to grow. The next project will have its own logo and then what is identified with Riley County or not. That's why I sent out that email. We have a policy on it. And, commissioners do it what you want, but eventually this won't be the last logo you see. And then at what point in time do you know what is the official Riley County logo? I agree, our current logo could use updated, and commissioners are even said they're in favor of updating the overall logo, but
It's a conversation.
there's a reason why each and every one of us with clerk's office, treasurer's office, elections don't have our own logo.
Well, and what prompted you to change it just for this?
So it was just a conversation Vivian and I had just to set it apart just a little bit from, the standard Riley County logo, just so, we could identify this with the comprehensive plan update. So, maybe people could see it and think about that, so.
Yeah, it doesn't say a whole lot to me as far as comprehensive plan.
Yeah,
I know there's sunset, sunlight, whatever, wheat, but it doesn't really. It's not specific to Riley County, which I think it's pretty.
I
Agreed, it does look nice.
yes. I want to say I have zero problem if you want us to keep using the Riley County logo. I'm happy to do that. Happy to get formal approval of this. However you folks want me to proceed, I am more than happy to do it.
Well, this already went out.
Unfortunately, it's already gone out with postcards.
I would kind of like you to see in the future, go back to our regular logo. Because that's, but I don't know how you,
I look at this, I look at the other entities, they don't necessarily use their own logos on it. City went a different direction on that. I understand departments need to have, standard one size fits all, but this isn't, it's just a plan. It's just maybe within that comprehensive plan, if it gets talked about changing the logo just in general too, and then wouldn't have mattered either way, I guess, but.
Well, maybe you could put the Riley County logo in there somehow. Incorporate it together, maybe.
A couple of reasons behind it. It would have been smart to come get it approved beforehand. That should have been a course of action. Will be in the future for anything that involves our name. I think with my prior experience with the city going through the comprehensive plan just recently, they had a team created a completely separate logo called Crossroads MHK and purposefully kept it separate from the government organization to kind of give ownership to the community. And I think that's what the goal was here. But yes, we should have definitely brought it as part of the process. And we'll do. Yes, absolutely. And can make changes. This is early in the process, certainly, and hoping that a name comes out of it too. Yes, we need something else.
And I would say that would be the best time to bring it back because you have your, you have the full project. But if you change it now, you're just going to confuse people.
Well, there was
sent out.
yeah, but we just sent out 350. So it isn't like everyone in the county has seen it. It hasn't been widely distributed.
Well, the
It's the
other-
first time I've seen it.
257 have already taken. Right, so it's more than that.
But we certainly, it's not irrevocable. We can just put the Riley County logo and describe it as the community plan. And then once there is a name and kind of a direction for it to go, do that instead, or however you think would best represent the county.
I'm okay with it as it is. Feel they need to change it, I guess that's fine too.
I think like you said, maybe that logo needs to change, but that's what we've been using every place else. Probably not use it here.
Probably ought to use it in the future.
And like I said, it's early enough in the progress, early enough in the process that it wouldn't hurt to put it back in there.
Right.
Okay, so that's definitely what we'll do. We'll get the Riley County logo back on there, and then as you folks said, once we have a name and we want to do that whole thing, we'll bring it back before you before we make any other changes.
We might want to do that by motion then because this isn't consensus.
I make a motion that the comprehensive plan use the standard Riley County logo for all correspondence.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All nays.
Nay.
Thank you very much. Did you have any other questions about anything my report? Thank you.
Really?
Good morning.
Make a motion that we recess as the Board of County Commission and reconvene as the Board of County Health.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded to recess as the Board of County Commission and reconvene as the Board of Riley County Health. All in favor?
Aye.
Right, good morning. Julie Gibbs with the Health Department. I'm here with a request for approval to apply for a grant through KDHE. So KDHE has been awarded funding through CDC to enhance the public health infrastructure. 40% of that is to be distributed to local health departments. This is titled Workforce Development Funding. And they distributed it via social vulnerability index and population size. So here in Riley County, our social vulnerability index isn't too high, which means that we won't get as much, but our population is a little higher. So we do get 159,000 to be awarded over 5 years. So that's about 31,000 per year. This grant was due on August 15th. They just extended the deadline to August 21st, so I have a little bit more time. But it's mainly focused again on workforce development, so staff retention or recruitment. I ran some ideas by Elizabeth. We also met as leadership and supervisors to determine what we wanted to do with these funds. It was determined that we would spend it on staff retention. So looking at continuing education for certifications and licenses, any kind of new training that the staff would want to go through, any kind of webinars or conferences that they want to attend. So it not only enhance their education and careers, but also help to improve our programs. So this would be decided on by the supervisors and myself. So if anyone does want to go through a training, we would have to make sure that it would benefit the employee and the program and overall the health department in the county. So that's what we intend to spend the funds on for this year. We can always come back with a different plan next year and decide something different if this doesn't go well, or if we don't spend all of our funds, we can always decide something different. They're pretty lenient with the rules. It's just through KDHE, so they've let us know that we can change it halfway through, or we can decide to change it for the next year. So again, it's $31,000 per year for a total of 5 years. Any questions on that?
Sounds like a good grant to have.
Yeah, we're excited for more money.
Always. Any questions?
Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the Riley County Health Department applying for the workforce development funding through KDHE.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded to approve the health department apply for workforce development funding, KDHE. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
Yep, and I made a motion that we recess as the Board of County Health and then reconvene as the Board of County Commission.
Second.
So moved and seconded to recess as the Board of County Health and reconvene as Board of County Commissioners. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, commissioners, you have Amanda Webb at 10:15. Feels good to stand up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I was the Bernie and David, the third guy yesterday. Take a couple hours when he figured it out. What did you say? You get to this one? Get upgrade. Gravel, you know. There was one that. We got it. She said he's so this yes, take a shot here. Usually teams fight over the honor of having the longest losing streak.
Which is awful happen to share with the Royals. Of course, I didn't see, I think he's like 1-13.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Hard to feel sorry for them.
This is the engineer.
We were the farm club for them for so long.
That is this year. Your body.
I'm always amazed when somebody, I mean, I understand why football moves nationwide. I'm always surprised when somebody who could go either way, I mean, legitimately chooses football because the money to be made.
Oh, no. That's why they all go football. What you also see happen is in baseball, it's like elongated. So you you'll work on like a minimum set for 7 years. And then you get paid what you were worth because you're usually not.
And at the end, unraveling starts to.
In football, we also see a lot of kids that get drafted in baseball or multi-talented. They can play. They can hop on an NFL squad if they could play. Right. Instead of maybe not making it through the minor league.
You guys spend all that time on the bus.
Right.
Yeah, I can understand what you're saying. And it's still majority of boys for majority, even with those with a long career, you go back and forward. Unless you're.
You don't see too many do sports stars anymore, like Better Jackson, Deion Sanders, or
He was eight quite a few guys.
All right.
Let's manage to be a pro player, I think. It's kind of dangerous.
as long as you're not getting into fights.
Yeah, but a baseball player.
That's pretty good.
With exceptions. With exceptions.
Yes, yeah.
With exceptions.
Learns it all.
My dad was- Okay.
All right. Good morning again, Commissioners, Amanda with Planning Director. I am back with the proposed Stall Road Sewer Benefit District discussion. If you folks recall, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I'll just kind of go over a little bit of the background again, just to refresh everybody. In 2021, we had a couple property owners at 861 and 881 Stall Road. There's two houses on one track. Came to us, the county, to see about dividing their property. That wasn't possible because it would make them too small. They couldn't support their own septic systems. So we talked with the city and we talked with the city about potentially doing a benefit district out there for them so they could divide their property. Look to hook a few other people. I'll go back to something here. Hook a few other properties onto those sewer benefit district while we were doing it. So if you recall, we have three parts to this. Parts A and B are further along, they're already done or pretty well close to being done. But these are the properties that are on part A, I should say, apologies. And then these are the parts that are on part C, which is this blue here. The question from the last time we had this discussion a couple weeks ago, you folks had asked why property 8 was not included in this. Just to specify, they can be involved in it if they would like to, but if you notice where the line is currently, it does not abut their property. It does not touch or go in front of their property like it does or will with the fire station property. So in that respect, they are not legally required to connect to a sewer benefit district because they technically do not have the benefit of it because it doesn't go right in front of the property. Again, they can, they're certainly able to, or we're not keeping them from that, but we're not legally requiring them to do that. So
if they do decide sometime in the future, then we have to go through the process of putting them back in, putting them into the benefit district.
so I don't know, if anyone wants to speak, it would be a city benefit district, so.
Yeah.
All right, Commissioners. If they chose to connect, it may require a small public infrastructure extension in order to make sure that, a manhole touch that property. These aren't city right of ways, so our rules don't govern as far as how they could put private laterals, either on private property or in right of way to connect to whatever infrastructure is there now or there in the future. But generally, you want to extend public sewer, public infrastructure to the property line whenever possible. It's not mandatory. It just makes things cleaner, and they wouldn't have to cross other people's property. Now, the property level is number 8. Regardless of what the future sewer looks like in Johnson Road, they could obtain an easement from another property owner to cross it in order to get access. So theoretically, it wouldn't necessarily have to incur the cost of the public improvement. We would generally recommend it, but not absolutely mandatory.
Say legally wouldn't have to be in the taxing district to access it.
Correct. Now, I'm not a benefit district statute professional here. We typically leave that to our city council or our city council, city attorney. When a city's doing a benefit district, state statute's pretty clear. If a property has legal access, whether it be it directly touches infrastructure, if it had access via right of way or has access via easement, they legally benefit from that property. So they would have to participate in that benefit district. In this case, with this part C of the project, as it's laid out there, it may not be how it actually looks like at the end when we start talking about potential Mid-American Piano project or connection. But in theory, they would not have direct access, so they would not have to participate. Because the way this benefit district works, we haven't, since we know that they don't have a restroom, they haven't sought us. We also haven't reached out to them, say, there's a benefit district here. Do you want to connect? Because they don't have facilities. I don't know if they have water. So if we did reach out to them, or if we assume they didn't, or if we assume they did need water, we would change things. But since our assumption now is they don't need water or sewer, we haven't reached out to them. And adding another property to this benefit district, trying to force it on them when if they don't want it, is pretty much just asking for a no vote on the petition for the benefit district. So we've tried to work with as many entities that were known yes for us, that needed sewer and wanted sewer.
So that's the Midwest Piano Building, and it doesn't have a bathroom in it?
No, that's a sewer.
No.
It's
Oh,
down
okay.
on the bottom.
Okay. I was gonna say, that's strange. Okay. All right.
That would be.
I just,
Yes.
I had one comment. So on behalf of Russell, because he's on vacation. Yeah, I can go. Good morning, John Martins with the Fire District. I'm here on behalf of Russell. He's on vacation today. Just wanted to point out that if you're unaware of that triangle, that is our fire station 115. The building and the structure does not have a restroom in it. We utilize it obviously for the fire trucks primarily. And the point I wanted to make was just that we don't have any intentions of any facilities in there for that. We maintain the building, of course, but the property, the grounds are owned by deeded to the BOCC. So I just wanted to clarify that and make you all aware of that since it was off topic here. So that was the main thing I wanted to communicate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
So this is a city benefit district? This is gonna be a city benefit district?
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
good.
Parts A and Part B are already, Part C, if we can get the fire station property to agree, if you will, to be a part of it. Yes, the whole thing would be a city benefit district. If we can't, then it would no longer be a city benefit district. We'd have to decide if we're going to do a county one or just leave things. And on the property, I believe it's the Mod 2 property that's labeled on the map there. They already have some issues with their septic system. So this would help handle that problem. And then again, with the Mid-America folks, they're going to be a church. And I did include, that was another question you folks had, kind of the sort of rough timeline of their development. So they're going to kind of start small and then grow over the next year with the intention that if the existing system either fails or this connection becomes available, that's when they would have to connect to this.
And from the city's perspective, our intent is to reconfigure that sanitary sewer layout so that it's more on the south side of Johnson Road, so that church property, it would facilitate them to connect more easily. So they wouldn't have to put a private lateral underneath Johnson Road or have to dig up the road or bore under it. That would increase their cost quite a bit. So, we're currently working on an amendment with our consultant SMH to change this design. That it would still, regardless of how we did it, that public sewer would still touch the Riley County property, which cities can we fully understand that they don't need it. They have no intended use for it. It just happens to be the crux of the statute where the property benefits, therefore, by state statute, if the city doesn't benefit district, it has to participate. And that's really the only way to get sewer up to be able to serve that property label is MOD1 and MOD2, because they do want and need public sewer.
Questions we can answer?
That was just our question, why we were included and they weren't, but that's just ours and that's theirs. Did you reconfigure, probably gonna run along Johnson Drive and then come across, so it goes hits the corner of the Mid-American. Yeah, no problem.
One of the other issues with the route that's shown in red now is that there is a county storm culvert that would have to get pulled and replaced. So extending it on the south side further, waiting until we get up here to cross over, it avoids some of that infrastructure. So two benefits. Be easier construction and Mid-America. Mid-America does have a location further to the south that it's feasible they could connect to this trunk sewer main. But it would be a much longer sewer lateral. And I believe they would have to cross another property in order to gain access to it. So I mean, they have multiple options. This was the easier one for them.
The fiscal amount, 8,000 spread over 20 years. Do we have the option to pay that at the front to avoid the interest cost?
Yeah, just like any participant you could pay.
I was thinking too, just be sure that we do that. I mean, that whenever it does become this city benefit district and the assessments go through, that we get that paid within its first 30 days. Thank you.
We need to put that statement into a motion about the $8,000.
No, we just come back to it.
Yeah, man, we should present it whenever this thing comes to fruition.
Okay.
I don't really see much of another option.
Yeah.
But for us, it's probably deeper than trying to form our own district and put the infrastructure in. So
You want to move out, try to sell that off. In fact, we'll tend to see make it more valuable. That's the plan. That is kind of us. The selling point means eventually.
Yeah.
With that said, then I guess I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the inclusion of 300 Johnson Road into the Stable Road Part C Sewer Benefit District.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the inclusion of 300 Johnson Road into the Stable Road Part C Sewer Benefit District. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, man. Next commissioner, we have David Adams, 10:45.
Any new pictures? Okay.
I took pictures and I didn't get them this afternoon. Didn't get them posted. Yeah, having the driveway, the driveway in front is forward.
Oh, good. All right.
And that makes it, it really sets, I mean, it's amazing how much difference that makes. I mean, it's a huge difference. And they got quite a bit of the siding.
Looks like progress now, huh?
Yeah. On the outside, except the roof still, the roof shingles have been saying for 3 weeks at least on the roof. You got
15 minutes, right?
You got
Oh, yeah.
15 minutes.
I mean,
Okay.
Yeah, I got-
I'm just getting my stuff in order. It's been one of those mornings.
It's Monday.
It is a Monday.
Yeah, I went up yesterday, I took some pictures of it. Last night, I'll get it up, get them to Vivian this morning.
People are getting pretty excited.
I tried to get up there this morning and it didn't happen. I'll get up there this afternoon, but I think I was up there Thursday morning.
What's the deal on the inside?
They're still, they're getting the doors are put in, still HVAC is still working on their stuff.
Plumbing, electrical's all rough in, I think. All done.
All of that's done. So, and then. You know, something, Corey's working on the IT inside. I wrote this last Wednesday and it's out of date.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, well, I went and give, see, given us the code, I went and left around yesterday.
Yep.
But yeah, having the windows in and being inside, it makes it, it's pretty. You know, just a dark hole, but now they got the windows in, it's.
When I was up there, they had all the windows open, they were working inside, you know, and I said, well, this with the windows, you get some air movement in there, you know, you don't have the sun beating down on you and now you've got air movement, so it's at least tolerable.
That's you, then you're sitting in your air conditioning.
I was gonna say, since you're not the one in there.
But it wasn't bad.
Be nice today.
Absolutely.
A good day to be up there throwing shingles down.
Well,
It's a
they
couple of
did that.
really windy days last week, you know. and-
Yesterday.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the big wind down yesterday.
Yeah, so did my sister-in-law and brother-in-law.
Kept up and filled the back of the pickups.
Yeah, they had a.
We said the last two storms I've seen tree branches down over in my neighborhood. Not huge, it's just been
Where it is, I was
just random.
we were kind of up in the middle, it must have been something weak in that.
Mhm. Yeah. That last one, I had to cut my way home.
Yeah.
Good thing I had a Sawzall on the back of my truck. Charged battery.
A good blade.
Mhm. Always have multiple blades. It's lightning like crazy. It wasn't the funnest time to be out there cutting either. Wife was in the car behind me. She was dragging limbs as I was cutting them. It was the size of a tree.
That's when again, I brushed up, was open on Sunday, so I was able to haul it down there. Of course, it didn't break completely off, then one little piece, but I got one of those saws on it. Saw along.
Yeah, full saw.
That whole saw, that thing was short.
They cut fast.
Yeah.
If you get a good one.
If you get the right angle. Sometimes if it's in a spot, you get kind of bind, but this one it was where it was, I could get back and get an angle. And I do cut it bites through that quick.
Oh, you can sawdust in here.
That would be a problem. That would be a problem.
For the sawdust.
And one of my son-in-laws has one of those gas powered pole saws, you know, still ones, it's expensive. And man, that thing, you get it up there too long, that thing will shoulder work out. I mean,
Oh, I had one of those, that was a battery one. You know. All of a sudden, it quit, you know, the battery recharges, but I don't know what.
heard the battery ones, that's the owner of actually Wildcat Tree Service. She said, get the battery ones, they're a lot lighter than the gas ones. She said,
Oh,
yeah, the battery ones, if you're gonna get.
My dad had
both
both
sides.
gas, and that was pretty good. But because that one, the battery, the big weight is the battery, yeah.
Mhm.
But and it worked great, and then all of a sudden. I was cutting with it 100 stop. Oh, you do battery, but you got it didn't start. Trying to take it all apart and see if the connections and that.
Yeah, I need to get one.
Gas one, it works better than the electric or gas.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
I have one, that's phenomenal.
And it lasts pretty good. Got one of those bigger size battery. And it shocks through stuff a lot better than any one I've ever had.
I'm trying to get one of my gas ones wear out.
The gas one, I had good luck with the gas.
Never had good luck with
And
gas.
the electric ones, it's a pain dragging a cord.
Gotta get the steel. Spend a little more money up front. And I've had mine for decades, chainsaws and.
One of the things I learned is you have to use good gasoline in them too.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you gotta use that premium gasoline to keep everything from fouling up and. So.
Yeah, I was thinking long time ago.
Yeah, I've got one steel saw that has.
Premium gas for your mowers and.
That's what I do too.
I've got one that's gotta be 45 years old, I
Really?
think.
Really?
Yeah, and I've got two newer ones. It's like a champ. I got one weeder that's not a still. And I got one that is, big difference. Then we with blowers, got one that isn't, two that are, big difference.
I don't have a blower, I have a broom.
Well, you've heard my idea on the subject. So,
Rent,
goats.
oh, goats, yeah.
You can rent them. There are signs up by Leonardville where you can rent goats to go to your pasture.
Oh, really?
Yes. I've seen them.
I knew that was a business. I didn't know there was any locally, was my
Well,
surprise.
there's a sign on. So 77 and I think it's Barton Road, there's a little sign for goats. So,
There you go.
but yeah, people rent, you know, I knew that was a business, but yeah. Rent them to go in and clear out your pasture and.
Yeah, I'd have one if they didn't eat all your shrubs. Yeah, I'd have a couple probably.
They're not, yeah,
I think goats are cool.
Maybe the adjoining owner.
Oh, yeah.
The owner doesn't know.
Right.
Just stick with my chickens and guineas.
Keep your kicks down and
Guineas are ticky cheese.
yes, they are.
And you get some tasty morsels from the eggs.
Remember how
Hmm?
guinea egg.
I'm talking chicken eggs, but
Oh,
guinea
okay.
eggs are fine too. They're
Okay.
about the same. Just a lot smaller
Mm.
and a lot harder to crack. Their shells are about like rock.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta smack those shells hard.
That's where they steal a chainsaw train.
My God, nice. Those things are so hard. I think they're about half the size of a chicken egg.
You've seen it.
Same consistency. Like the yolk and everything.
It's like a small chicken egg.
Oh, yeah.
Guineas. Guineas.
It takes a few. I bet it takes a few to scramble.
Right.
Right.
Noisy, or obnoxiously noisy is the downfall of guineas. Loudly noisy and they're pick the chickens.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, they are aggressive chickens. They like to be the boss.
Maybe I'll get some of those.
Oh, good.
They will keep your bug population down, especially ticks.
I bet. Fossils do that.
Awesome, big ticking machines.
Really?
Mhm. It is.
I didn't know that.
That's really important diet for the most part.
Oh, yeah.
What?
They are.
I used to kind of be grossed out with possum and I like them.
Oh, yeah.
Once I found out they eat ticks.
Yeah, they got those.
They just hide out in bad places, so they get a lot of infections and diseases. That's kind of their MO, but they're good for nature.
They're not so good for my chickens, so.
No, I like chickens too, huh?
Yeah, they do.
There's not too much that does. I don't think it's.
On the ground, in the air.
I've even seen where chickens like chickens.
Yeah.
Chickens are not indiscriminate eaters, kind of like pigs. They are.
No, about anything.
One of my brothers, when he bought his farm, it came with one llama. And the llama came with the land.
There's a reason for that.
There was.
You think it's cool at first, kind of like that free horse.
He didn't know, he knew it wasn't gonna last long. And
How bad could it be?
yeah, and it lasted about 2 months and then went down the road to somebody else's place. So. Yeah, no penchant for a llama that would go up and pick at you and spit at you.
And the spitting parts.
I didn't know that.
So
I've never been around
They're
it.
mean.
they're mean.
Yeah, great pack animals. If you get a good one trained, they're great pack animals. Except for one thing with a llama, when they're done walking, they are.
Yep.
They lay down. They're not going until they want to go.
They will literally play dead.
I'd heard that about camels too.
Chickens and
Oh,
jam.
I can see that.
Chicken that's mine.
I don't mind
She
you.
was a kid, folks had chickens, so she had to go out.
Friend
and
of
get
ours.
she. Yeah,
Totally blind.
Fight and holler when you're in there.
Went through a series.
She's like, well, I'd love
Of course,
to
the time I know.
It's just, but I'm not touched.
I see neither.
Something must have happened to my neighbor's chicken over there, because I don't hear them
Leader.
anymore.
We like our fresh
And he had
chicken eggs,
one
that's for sure.
He thought.
I had a barbecue
Started
recently. I wonder.
trouble. See, or across the room, trouble
Well,
with
it's
things.
supposed to have more than 6 already.
Hey, this is a great start. So,
Oh, they will eat your
That's
tomatoes and stuff. My garden's
That's
far
a-
away. Mine
nothing
don't
wrong
like
with
it
this
down
dog,
there. That's
just as
already
done.
figured that out.
And as soon as they took it home, he took off the work harness, he just bounded around, as happy as could be, he just kept it as a pet. He
Absolutely.
got to a point where he says, I'm finished.
Yeah.
I'm
I've done my
retiring.
work. Yep.
My kids raid my stash of eggs regularly.
I'm a big fan of eggs myself.
I got cleared out this weekend of all the eggs I had. With all the kids on.
It's nice of you.
Sounds like you might not have a choice.
We could give them a hard time. This isn't Walmart. Raid our fridge.
Well, times it's probably easier to come home than it is to go to the grocery store with things that are available and not available.
Crowds and right
Yeah.
now with all the students coming back.
Oh, yeah. That's when all the really good stuff disappears.
Oh, yeah. That's the people.
No, it's just because the parents usually come with them and stock them up.
My son came out Sunday afternoon. Bought hamburgers, says, real hamburgers. We had the janitor, they fixed some stuff to go with, we were planning on. They brought the hamburgers. So.
That's what I told my daughters last night as they were leaving. I said, you know, when you come out on Sunday dinners, you're welcome to bring dessert.
You're welcome to the other things.
We got cookies, we had cookies left over.
Uh-huh.
So bad, but,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That didn't even sound good for a while.
I thought you were getting a little pale.
It didn't sound good for a while. I don't know. I mean, there was 44 entries total, so I'm good on cookies for a while. I'm good.
Anybody who stops after 40 cookies, come on.
You know,
I'm not the damn cookie
Not
monster.
tried.
I'm not tried.
I'm not, those are words I've never said. I'm done with cookies.
I'm sure there's gonna come a time a little later on in the year when we get into fall, it'll be okay. Ramen is the only thing that I ate a ton of that I can't touch it. Ramen.
College.
Yeah.
Icing and then chopped up.
That was a staple for a good year or two, and I can't.
See, me with hot dogs and mac and cheese.
I purposely didn't do the mac and cheese a lot for that reason. I didn't want to ruin that one.
Right.
But ramen, no, I can't touch it.
Can't touch what?
Ramen.
Ramen.
I ate so much of that my first couple of years in college. I just can't do it.
Memories of
Yeah.
college.
I survived off hamburger help.
I can do that because at least there was more than four flavors.
Varieties.
Yeah.
See, and I was hot dogs and mac and cheese.
My uncle, when we went to Washburn, he said he had 2 meals, beans and weenies and beans.
Mine was grilled cheese. I never lost the taste for it.
Well, I had an aunt that worked at Tony's Pizza in Salina. And they have like a seconds freezer where employed and she'd buy us college kids case there like for $1.
Yeah.
So we had a freezer full of Tony's pizza for cheap, you know, and the pepperonis were all stacked in one spot. So you'd have to rearrange.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I think at one point in time you could buy a case of ramen for like $6 or something. I mean, geez.
Get those crock pots.
Does it get that and a 6-pack of beer in the white cans that says beer?
Ready for David?
On that note,
Yeah.
morning commissioners, David Adams, EMS maintenance director with my monthly building update. So a couple weeks ago, Commissioner McKinley, Dan Knight, John Ellerman and myself met with the project manager for our meeting and update. They're a couple weeks behind schedule as of then. So I think it's tied to some of their subcontractors and getting them available when it's their time to get in there and such, but they're working on it. But they were upfront and honest with us about it, which we appreciated. So the windows are in. When I wrote this last Wednesday, the door frames were being installed. So HVAC were there, they were being installed. Most of the external siding is up. There's still some left, but they're making good progress. And they poured the front driveway. So it as Commissioner McKinley said, it changes the whole dynamics, the look of the building with that driveway in. So it really, yeah, you feel like you're really starting to see something. So, but they were working hard on that and getting it going. So upcoming, they're going to finish with the siding. Roof shingles should be installed sometime soon. They're waiting on the venting for
Through the roof now.
so they're through, so it ought to be pretty close. So then termite treatment and then spray foam insulation. So and the spray foam insulation, when they do it, building has to be cleared for 24 or 48 hours, something like that. So when they do that, then all work will stop for a couple of days so that they can get that done and it can set, and then they can air out the building and such. So, but they're moving right along. I will go down this week, today or tomorrow, and get the appliances purchased. So I've confirmed with the builder, the architect, what I need to purchase and the power that goes with them. You know, is it a 220 or a 110? All of that. So I'll get that taken care of. Total cost to date $438,263.23. That's the architect fees, that's the building fees, that's the equipment that we had purchased previously with ARPA for the station we're using now, and all of that equipment, then obviously we'll transfer over. So, and then some IT costs. So servers and some radio, some stuff that Corey has had to order. Public safety headquarters. We've it's slowed down a little bit on our end because it's all being done. The design is complete and it's still in engineering. We've received a few questions. One of the questions that we received a couple of weeks ago had to do with the heating. The original design with dispatch and with emergency management and all of those offices, they were looking at a boiler system for heat. Now that it's been pared down in size, the engineers asked the question of boiler versus traditional heating. So VHS did their work and their analysis of it. We sent it to John and I deferred because I don't know. So
You just want it warm.
I just want it to work, so I think they've decided not going to do boilers. Is that correct, John? Yeah, no boilers. It just, with the size, it made more sense to go with the traditional. So I anticipate some more of those coming up as they're working through the engineering of it. So since it's changed so many times with the size, so. But it was interesting to read. I enjoyed reading the email, but really didn't have a, I told him, I said, I'm, sure. So once we get the internal design information back, I'll bring it forward for you. So we met with the interior designer for the buildings. This was this person's 51st fire EMS building that they have designed. So she brought forth a lot of great ideas, things to think about. This is what works. This is what if you want to go down like with epoxy flooring, here's the positives, here's the negatives, here's the stamped concrete. If you want to do that, the positives and the negatives, and brought forth a lot of those things and said, we've had people who've done it this way, and then they've come back and they've changed it because they think it looks good, it looks cool, but it really isn't practical. So, so a lot of really good ideas, the things, things to keep in mind. This is a station. So if your shoes are wet, you want to, this is kind of flooring that you might want to consider. So a lot of really good ideas and such. So we learned a lot in that meeting. So once all that gets put together and we get to see it in pictures and bring it forward and get your thoughts on it. So, but I don't have a timeline when we're going to see that. But I would expect we'll have something by the end of this month. So as you're aware, the contract with BHS is working through. I believe John's got it updated, and he'll be back with the questions that you had answered and be back in front of you sometime soon.
As long as hoping it gets signed today, tomorrow, I have it to you Thursday.
Okay. So, and then total to date, 463,236.11. And then the next big upcoming project or meeting for us, we'll have the internal design, and then end of October, the budget updates, budget approval. So there's really not a lot on the schedule for us between now and then. Once everything is compiled, then I go to BHS, they'll do their work, and then they'll bring it forward to us. So we're just right now kind of in a holding pattern, letting all the MEP and all the design and all of that get worked out. So pretty short, sweet, to the point. Questions for me? Thoughts?
I need a question on the driveway. I mean, they use that fiber instead of mesh, they use the fiber reinforced. Because walking up to it, you can see all the
Hairy.
Huh?
Looks like it's hairy.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like something got dropped on it while it was still wet. I mean, I've heard of that stuff. I guess I haven't ever seen one that.
So the idea, the fiberglass strands, they just kind of weave together.
Yeah.
And of course, the reason for wire mesh and stuff is just to keep, as you get cracks from the concrete, just separate and come away. The fiberglass does the same thing. Kind of saves a step. And probably I've used it, I've seen it before. I like it a little bit better because as you're putting down the concrete, the wire mesh never gets up where it needs to be.
Making sure they pull the mesh up into the
fiberglass actually stays in place.
So there's fiberglass material in the concrete.
Fiberglass
little threads.
Yeah,
It's making it bind together to hold it.
So know what other those cones are where you have wire tie and all that. Huh?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
well, yeah, I mean, for a slab like that, you just have a sheet of mesh. And
Yeah.
hopefully you pull it up as you pour your concrete in. This, you don't have to do any of that. It goes quicker. It's supposed to work the same, but it does look like
You have hairy concrete when you don't.
I think I've heard of it.
Until it gets worn down, huh?
Until it's where it's off the top. Yeah.
Or it's kind of.
It's weird looking. It's real.
Okay.
I thought, what happened to that concrete? And I got another, oh, it's a side. It's fiberglass. I never, I heard of it.
I hadn't heard of it.
Yes.
Interesting.
We're learning lots as we go through these processes.
Yeah, I've been there. Well, no, we'll be done soon and there'll be a little. Potentially short update most of the time, so.
So thank you for go ahead with the positions as we talked about last Thursday. So they'll start September 2nd, whenever their shift starts, and we'll get them going, we'll get our systems in place. Right now everything's on paper, it looks good, but until we get them into place, but we're moving forward and really, once the building is done, it's just putting our components in and staffing that station. So we'll be ready as we can be. So we won't have to wait on David.
Do the grand opening, be sure to have cookies.
Yeah.
Vivian and I talked about that. So chocolate chip, is that correct, John? Is that?
No, just piles of
Cookie,
I'm more against the varieties right now.
Maybe we can get the fire kids to make it smoky.
There you go.
Maybe a cookie eating contest.
Well, I think a photo walk with all the commissioners having a cookie.
Why would you do that? Aren't you just not gonna see me eat it?
Maybe a couple of months. Maybe like cookies you can't have.
I don't know.
Fundraising dump tank.
No,
Filled with cookies
there's
instead
not
of,
going to
no,
be
no, filled with cookies. instead.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. I've been around Rich too much lately, so.
I thought when it was emergency services, it's supposed to be donuts and cake.
No, that's police and fire.
So it's emergency services.
For EMS, we just want to do our job.
Oh, please.
Moldrick just wanted to share.
We're getting fed something, all right, but it ain't gonna be.
I'm here to get some emails from other professionals.
I'm sure Moldrick's texting you right now.
No, the fire department's ice cream.
It is ice cream.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's good incentive to be jump on the volunteer fire. Yeah.
So, no, our crews get upset with me because if you're on TV, then you have to buy something for the staff. And I told them 4 or 5 years ago, yeah, no. There's too many snippets of me here and there. No.
Believe me, we know.
Yeah. Especially when we were in the transition from the hospital, I was in front of cameras a lot. And so they were sending me text messages, all the time. Like, yeah, no, I did it once, covered it for everybody one time and done.
Yeah, fire departments that way too. They have that rule. So
Yep.
Well,
on TV or if your pictures on.
If your picture is in the paper, yep.
When you bring treats.
So, yep. Anything for them to get something.
Yeah.
It's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
They want something for free.
Yeah.
So.
We all do.
Exactly.
Just not cookies.
Okay, any other questions of David?
Yeah.
No,
All right,
okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, David.
Okay, that's the end of our agenda. Any other issues? Any comments?
Yeah, I've got one, kind of popped up on the radar here, anticipatory of this, but I'm sure you've gotten an email already on it, but AUSA is coming up, October. Both the MRC and the Flint Hills, group have asked me to attend. So, I did explain that's not how we originally planned that out, but haven't made any decisions yet, but thought we'd talk about it first. But I'm actually, and I've mentioned this to Rich already too, but I'm actually okay if all three of us wanted to go to this. I think it's extremely important. I'm not saying we do, but I'm just saying, both in the short term and the long term, the things going on at Fort Riley may or may not get better, and it may not be anybody's fault here. So full collaboration, cooperation, whatever adjective you want to use. It's pretty important at this point in time. And of course, I just got appointed to NACO's Military Service Committee too, so that came up. Didn't even think about the two together, but so there's a couple of things to think about there. I did some thinking about it over the weekend. I'm fine with going. I just wanted to make sure we discussed it ahead of time, but it's not what we originally had planned. And I did make that clear.
Yeah, I thought I wanted to go, and I looked at schedule and long time, which December, and you know, a lot of those things coming up. Or something else. You know, I'd like to go sometime.
Yeah.
So,
Next week. Oh, I look at it, and look, I saw the notes, but I hadn't looked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My schedule, yeah.
Um,
Also.
I think I'm gonna go ahead and get the arrangements and stuff set up and just plan on attending.
And what dates are the?
It is Monday, the 9th through. Right. Sorry, I have a calendar there and it just disappeared on me. I don't know if I remember right. I flew out on a Sunday last year. It came back like on the 11th or something. Yeah, it's the 8th through 11th. October. It'll be Monday. The majority of the activities will be on that Monday and Tuesday, but you can fly in Sunday, leave sometime Wednesday. The only thing for us that leaves is Employee Day, which I believe is on the 9th.
Just get with Cindy and she can make the arrangements for you, and if any of the other commissioners want to go as well, make the arrangements. Clancy's always in favor of 2 or more of you being gone on any Monday or Thursday.
But Rich is not.
Well, in this case, we're not making any decisions on anything.
Well, what you have to watch for is just anytime there's a majority of you present and you have interactive
Yeah.
conversations about county business. And it's not just the reality, it's the perception.
Yeah.
You just have to be aware.
It's the same as KAC and NACO if you're going to attend that, or even County Commissioner Associate, you're free to do that.
My daughter was telling me something.
I think the email said they need to be able to make all the arrangements by the 15th of August here. So we got at least the rest of the week anyway. I would tell you going last year, I mean, there's several things there that are high of value. Discussion with the state lobbyist up there, Baker Donaldson, is a real eye opener, to say the least. And just the people that kind of bring in from both the region and the state and how it all kind of fits together is pretty important.
And that's going to be in the same place at these in DC.
Yeah, it's at the Hamilton Hotel. It's just up across the way from the White House. The opening ceremony and the conference itself is up at a different location, about 4 or 5 blocks up the way there. Larger conference center, and some other stuff kind of moves around, but well, it is what it is. But I do think it's extremely important. I do think this one's important enough that, like I said, if we all wanted to do that, I don't have a problem with that. I don't think we really travel to the ends of the earth and really break that budget, on a consistent basis. So you just have to prioritize, and I would suggest this one's a priority. That's just my view and my opinion. So make of that as you will. I wasn't planning on it, so I was asked by both organizations, and I thought, well, better take a look at it at least. And that was the conclusion.
They didn't talk about it in the last meeting.
So any commissioners need arrangements made, they'll send and she can let you get them on there, and we can have however many commissioners are gone. If there's just one, it's always nice to know so we have it on the agenda too.
Well, the good thing on this is it won't affect anything.
Okay.
because we have the employee day on the 9th.
Mhm.
So it doesn't affect anything because it's in between those 2 Thursdays. So, yeah.
Yep.
Is anything open in DC?
No, and in fact, everybody's, this year could be an exception, though. Everybody's gone.
Yeah,
Yeah, everybody's on recess.
that's all I know.
But with everything kind of going on towards the end of the year this year, with still no farm bill in place, still with no late mayor omnibus, they could be there during that time. Trying to,
There's some interesting stuff on the farm recently this weekend about these large corporations that are buying up all this ag land. But if you're not an active participant, that you don't get the subsidies.
Yeah, that's been used for a long time.
An active participant in farming,
Mhm.
so hunting doesn't count.
no.
Okay.
Some of it, yes, some of it, no.
Okay.
It depends on what you're hunting and how it applies to ag. If you have too much of something that would negatively adverse ag,
Yeah,
directly or
Right, yeah.
indirectly,
The
then
nuisance control.
yeah. So there's a couple of things in there, but it doesn't apply across the broad.
Right.
Did you guys get on this serve about the statement that short-term rentals?
yeah, so, yeah. There was.
Some legislator talked to
KAC.
Jay Hall about the state needs to start making rules on short-term rentals to cover the counties. And everybody came back on it, went, no, leave us alone, we're fine.
Don't help us.
Good.
Don't
Good
help.
luck with that once they get something in their mind.
Right.
I think the interesting thing there is I'd kind of be interested to see which legislator asked the question.
Yeah.
I was like, God, I think it's from one of the bigger counties.
Well, and what I said, so we've got regulations and we're taking care of them, but I can't imagine the same regulations are needed in Johnson County and Rawlins County. You know?
No, there can't be a one for all.
Yeah,
That's what gets ignored every time they do this.
I know.
Try to fix something locally in one county, maybe,
One guy writes up what his county needs and then it messes everybody.
regardless of what
up.
history is. Whether there's been a full discussion, they've decided against it. Well, that doesn't mean now we apply the rule you lost at locally. We're going to make that spread it across 105 counties.
Well, it always starts because whoever brought it up, it's impacting them themselves or a good friend of theirs that's gotten in their ear about it.
But no, every comment that I'm seeing come back is, well, leave us alone.
Yeah, whatever happened.
Not to take that those terms, it was nicer terms, but
Yeah,
that's basically.
we've got it covered, thank you.
Well, fairly recently, it used to be the legislators themselves, when we would take stuff to them, they would say, what's the state issue here? And they wouldn't do anything if it wasn't a state issue. And it worked kind of the other way. I mean, that was the history. That's gone,
Mhm.
at least by a majority that's gone in each chamber,
A
apparently.
lot of things.
Mhm.
Okay,
All right, so.
anything else?
No. Okay, I'll go ahead then and make a motion that we adjourn the August 7th meeting of the Riley County Commission.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the August 7th meeting with the Raleigh County Commission.